Welcome to a new course. This is the introduction to web development. Now, before getting into the practical part of developing our web structure, we have to know everything and all the basics about web development, what we want to use, what is the basics, and also the theories, which is going to help us in the long run. So first off, let's move in and check the table of contents. Introduction to web development is the foundational stage of learning how to create and maintain websites. It involves understanding our core technologies and concepts that power the web. The key topics typically include web pages are structured using HTML, which is hypertext markup language. Web page layout and style are controlled by CSS, which is cascading style sheets. JavaScript includes dynamic behavior and also interactivity, such as making it interactive. Front-end development involves the use of frameworks such as Angular, Vue, or React. Back-end development is server-side programming using Ruby or Rails, Node.js, PHP, or Python, which is the Django or Flask. Databases: MySQL, PostSQL, MongoDB are used for data management and storage. Version control is the process of managing code with Git and GitHub. Deployment is using traditional web servers or systems such as Netlify or Vercel to host websites. Now, there's a lot of things over here, but obviously, if you have no prior experience to web development, it's totally fine because I have segmented and divided this class into a couple of parts, which I'm going to show you every one of these basics to get into web development. So let's see what is full stack web development. The process of creating a web application's front end, which is the user interface, and backend, which is the server, database, and logic, such as all of the functions, interactivity functions, and so on. And the front end, which is the user interface, is what the user basically sees, such as you can see the screen right now. This is the front end. And all of the customizations and every function that is working to make this front end, or let's say to represent what is on our screen, is basically called the backend. And all of this thing together is known as full stack development. A full stack developer ensures smooth client server functionality by working on every part of a program software architecture. I'm highly skilled in communication, collaboration, and also technical documentation. Now, understanding the role of full stack developer. The entire application's design, structure, and upkeep fall within the purview of a stack or full stack developer. They collaborate with, first off, is the front end. Now, what are the things that we want to use for the front end? Such as using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We can also use React, Vue, or Angular to design and construct the user interface. Now, let's go into the backend. Using programming languages like Node.js, which is also part of JavaScript, Python, Java, or PHP to manage server-side logic. Database. Using databases such as MySQL, PostgreSQL, or MongoDB to manage, store, and also retrieve the data, such as obviously, let's say you have a table of data, or let's say a table of things, which you cannot apply directly into HTML or even, let's say, the backend, such as, Java. So what you can do is you can create these database files in case MongoDB, which is the most easiest one, You can put all of those data in MongoDB and can just connect it directly to the front end, and it will still represent all of your data. Okay, now overview of web development layers, which is the front end, back end, and the database. Now, the front end, which is the client side, which is developed with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript framework, which is the visible portion of a web application that users interact with. So whatever you do, or let's say the viewers, whatever they do on a site is called the front end. Using server-side languages and frameworks, the back-end server-side controls database interactions, authentication, and also business logic. Now, what is the database? It holds and maintains application data, enabling updates and retrieval when needed. Now, examples of full-stack application in real-world scenarios. E-commerce websites like Amazon handle orders, which takes the function in the backend. Products, which are the front end, which you see on the screen. And customer information is the database, such as getting the name, getting the number, the contact info, email address, or even physical address. Everything that the data gets is saved in a database file. Social media sites like Facebook and Twitter manage user accounts on the front end, posting and messages on the back end, and databases for data storage. Online learning platforms such as Coursera and Udemy let users enroll and monitor their progress in the back end, browse courses in the front end, and save courses information in a specific database file. Now, front end versus back end versus database. Now you can see this is basically kind of the same, and I've tried to give you all the simple and to get the full idea about the front end, back end, and database. So if I make it a bit shorter, the front end is basically incorporated with the UI and UX. Now UI and UX is basically used in order to improve the user experience. It also incorporates with the UI UX design ideas, such as UI is user interface and UX is user experience. So this is the visible portion. The backend manages the data transmission, and frameworks such as Flask, the Django, Node are all included. Servers and APIs are also the backend framework. And database is basically the database, or let's say all the data that is being saved and holds and controls the information about the websites and also the users. Now, understanding HTTP, URLs, and hosting basics. The core of web communication is HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which enables browser to send and receive data from servers. Domain and URLs, which is a web address such as HTTPS, example.com, or maybe even google.com, is called a URL, which is Uniform Resource Locator. Website accessibility is made possible by domain mapping to IP addresses. Web hosting, services for storing and enabling online access to websites, files, self-hosting, cloud hosting, and shared hosting are among the varieties. Deployment with FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol, a technique for moving files from a local computer to web server that is used to start websites. The core of web communication is HTTP, which enables the browser to send and receive data from servers. So basically, that's the whole thing about understanding HTTP, URLs, and hosting the basics. Now let's get into the importance of an integrated development environment, or known as IDE in short. So it is efficiency, or let's say the important part is efficiency and speed. IDEs help speed up development by offering features like code suggestions, syntax highlighting, and auto-completion. By lowering the amount of time spent on mistakes and increasing overall productivity, These features assist you in writing code more effectively. Real-time error detection is a feature of the majority of IDEs that shows logical problems, unused variables, and syntax errors while you're coding. By doing this, you may identify issues early on and avoid possible bugs during runtime. Integrated tools. A lot of IDEs come with integrated testing frameworks, debuggers, and version controls system like Git. This integration streamlines the development process and makes it easier to manage the project. Then it comes about project management. With the help of IDEs, built-in project and file management tools, managing sizable code bases is simple. In web development, where managing numerous files and directories can be challenging without adequate organization, this is particularly crucial. Now, code refactoring. You can optimize and reorganize your code without affecting its operation by using IDE refactoring tools. Over time, this helps to increase the readability and performance of the code. Collaboration. By enabling developers to share code, examine pull requests, and work on projects from a distance, many IDEs offer collaboration like features for web development that is team-based, which is essential, which basically speeds up the whole thing a lot more better. Preview and debugging. Some IDEs come with built-in preview capabilities that let you see your website in real time, along with robust debugging tool that lets you find and rapidly address problems in your specific code. Support for multiple languages. It is simpler to manage different facets of web development without hopping between editors when IDEs support multiple programming languages such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and so on. Customization and extensions. IDEs typically have customization options and extensions that let you add features like live server previews, linters, and integration with other web development tools to make the environment more suited to your needs. Learning curve. To assist novices in discovering new features and best practices, IDEs usually include built-in lessons and documentations, and they are therefore a useful tool for both experienced and also seasoned developers. So let's get into our class by learning how to set up our IDE. First thing that you want to do is open up any browser which you have on your device. Now from here, I'm going to search for VS Code. Now you can use different type of, IDEs such as Node.js. We have Git, we have XAMPP. Well, XAMPP is basically a server, but there are obviously other type of, IDEs which are available such as Notepad++ and so on. Now from here, I'm going to click on Visual Studio Code and the first one which appears up. And when you want to click on this, you can see we have this option called Download for Windows. Now you can go down over here, and what you can do is you can just click on Download for Windows, and whenever you click on it, it will start downloading. But as I already have it downloaded, I'm going to cancel the download. And if you are on a different OS, it is totally fine. You can get back, click on Download over here, and you will see all of these platforms. Okay, we have Windows, we have Linux, we have Mac, whichever one you prefer. Okay, you can also see the CLI, which is compatible. And all of these are ARM64, but if you are using an older version, you can just click on Windows 10 or 11. Now, another thing is that in most of Windows 11s, VS Code is, installed by default, which is there from the start. So you can just start off from there. Now, after it opens up, there we go. We have the VS Code setup. You're going to click on it and wait for a bit, accept the agreement, click on next. And if you don't have any problem with your, local disk C and having no space, then I would suggest you just make sure where it is on default and do not put it somewhere else. Because if it is not on C, you cannot put the path of Visual Studio Code on your path or the environment. So I'm going to click on next. Visual Studio Code. I'm going to click on next. And I'm going to click on create a desktop icon. There we go. Open with code. Or I'm just going to click on register code as editor for supported file and add to path. Make sure you put that in. Requires shell restart. So you also want to restart it after the whole thing has been done. Click on install and wait for a bit until the whole thing has been done. Now, if you want a smoother process, just make sure you are connected to the internet throughout the process. If you're not, it is totally fine too. But if it requires any updates, then it will show it to you directly on your screen if you're connected to the internet. Okay. Now from here, I'm just going to click on launch Visual Studio Code. Now in just a bit, Visual Studio Code will open up on my screen and this is how it will look like. So you can see the installation file, or let's say the installation process, is very simple. I'm going to click on use AI feature with Copilot for me. I'm going to choose my theme. Let's say I'm going to put it on dark modern. Just going to put it like this, with support of all languages. Tune your settings. Now here I'm going to put in open settings. There we go. Now you can customize anything if you want to, but if you don't want to, it's totally fine. Now keep on going at the back. Bracket had its own independent color pool. Now one thing that you can do is I'm going to put in like this. There we go. That is all that I need to put. Now unlock productivity with command palettes. And the next thing is I'm going to click on next section. Code extensions, built-in terminal, install Git, and customize your shortcut. Click on mark done, mark done. That's all that you want to do, and Git will start installing on your IDE. Okay? So basically that is how simple it is, that all that you want to do. Now, another thing is about setting up your VS Code. Now we have welcome file over here, right? Now, first things first, what you want to do is you want to click on new file. Click on new file and you'll be able to create a new file. You can also create open, or let's say open a file. Now, another thing that I want to do is I'm going to create a resource folder on this folder. Okay. So I'm going to click on new folder. Now over on this folder, let's say I'm going to have resources of this course. So I'm going to go off into Visual Studio Code. I'm going to click on open folder. Now from here, I'm going to go off into desktop. I'm going to click on DLD, resource of this course. I'm going to click on select folder. Now every one of, or let's say everything that I put is going to be inside this folder. Okay. So I can also attach all of these resource files directly with the course. So you'll be able to copy and test out the codes which I am going to be putting. Now, obviously, there are a couple of things that you need to know in this file. So as we have this, you can see we have this new file, new folder, refresh Explorer, and also collapse folder from Explorer. If you click on new file, you'll be able to create a new file. Let's say I'm going to put in index, or so I'm going to put in test.html. So you can see we have the test.html file. It has already detected that I'm going to be using an HTML file. Okay. Now from here, there are a couple of things that you need to do. First off, let's go off on the Git and click on download Git for Windows. I'm going to click on open and wait for a bit until it opens up just like this. Okay. Now, another thing that you want to do is you have to make sure you install it properly. There are a couple of ways of using Wingset tool. You can put it just like this. Okay. Now from here, what you want to do is standalone installer. So put in 64-bit Git for Windows setup. Click on that and wait for a bit until Git starts installing on your device. So let's just go off into our site again, or let's say Visual Studio Code. Now let's go off into extension. There are a couple of extensions that you need to install, such as live. Okay, just like type in live, and then we have live server. Now what you want to do is I'm going to live runner. Let's say I'm going to put in runner, and let's check live code runner, Visual Studio Code, and all of these. I'm going to click on live server. I'm going to install it, publish, player, And there we go. We have all of these players if you want to use. There we go. Now from here, there are a couple of things that you want to run directly. Now you can see this one has been installed. Now instead of live runner, what you want to do is you want to type in code runner. There we go. We have code runner. Then you can click on install. Trust and publish. Now let's go up into our browser and check it. There we go. It has been installed too. So I'm going to double click on it and wait until it starts installing. There we go. This is how it should look like now. Click on next. Save it up in the same way, default. Now here, what you want to do is on the desktop, that's all that you need to do. New scalar, check daily for Git Windows updates and all of these. Click on next. Next. I'm just going to put it just like this. Put in next. Let Git decide. Next. And I'm going to keep it on third-party command, also from third-party software. Git bash only. This is the most cautious choice for path. Will not be modified at all. This is the recommended, so I'm going to keep it recommended. I'm going to keep it like this. Next. And I'm going to keep it only for this. Put in next just like these. And then it will start installing. Now from here, you can also see we have code runner. So now let's set up our first HTML or our, let's say, the server or even call the web page. Now creating a web page is basically very simple. Now you can see over here, it is also done. So after this will be done, we're just basically going to close it. We're not going to launch Git bash because we're going to finish it just like this. I'm just going to open up it later. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do in, or let's say creating a web page. Now, first off, let's go off over here and I'm going to keep it like this. Now, let's open up the folder over here. Now, one thing that you can do is if you do not have an IDE, you can right click over here, click on new. Let's say I'm going to click on this over here, right click, new, and then open up text document. Now here I'm going to put in, let's say YT dot. Now another thing that you have to do over here is make sure to click on view, then click on file name extensions. Now you can see we have test.html and we have this txt. So let's rename it YT, and after txt or instead of txt, I'm going to put in HTML. But before putting in HTML, I'm just going to put in txt over here. Open this up. Always use this app for txt files. Now here, I'm going to open up, let's say, doc type. Here, I'm going to put in HTML. Close off the tag. Now, after that, you want to put in HTML tag. Now, after HTML, I'm going to put in the header tag. Head. Open this up. And then the next thing that I want to put in over here is basically very simple. So start off with the meta value if you want to. But if you don't want to, it's also totally fine. Now here, instead of putting in anything else, I'm going to put in the, let's say, title. Now, as we have the title, I'm going to put in my first web page. Title. Moving to the next line. Here I'm going to close off my tag. Now, whenever you are closing the tag, it should start off with this oblique or the slash. Okay, the forward slash. Now here I'm going to do the same thing, forward slash, and this is how it should look like. So we are done with the head tag. Now let's get into the body. Now inside the body, I'm going to put in the h1 tag, which is going to put my text a bit better. I'm going to put in hello, everyone, slash h1. In the same way, close off the tag. Here, I'm going to have a paragraph tag. which is going to say, welcome to my site. P. Now close it off. Now the last thing that I have to do is, as we have the body like starting, so I'm going to put in body. In the same way, at the end, I'm going to put in HTML. That's all that you need to put. Now I'm going to save up this file and I'm going to close it. Yet you can see it's not working yet. Now, another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the whole thing and I'm going to close it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change everything. Here, let's click on, let's say, rename. And on the last part, I'm just going to put in HTML. Yes. Now you can see this has also turned into a site. So if I click on this, arc, press on OK, there we go. You can see we have our site. Hello everyone, welcome to my site. So this is how the site is going to look like. You can also reload it if you want to, but it's going to show the same thing. So this is how it is going to work. Now, if you want to work with IDE, I'm going to show you the difference. Let's say I'm going to delete this. As you can see, we have the same things. But if I click on test.html, first off, I'm going to have a doc type. Hit on enter, then put in HTML. You can see how easy it is and how easy it forms up the whole thing. Inside of HTML, I'm going to have the head. If I put in head, there we go. We also have the ending of the head. Inside the head, I'm going to have a specific title. Inside the title, I'm going to put in, this is my first web page. Now we are done with the title. Now after the head, I'm going to define my body. Inside the body, I'm going to do the same thing, H1. Let's say I'm going to put in hello world. And after H1, I'm going to have a paragraph tag. Here I'm going to say, welcome to my site. Now, what we can do is basically very simple. You just want to play this whole thing. Not supported over here, so it's totally fine. Just wait for a bit. Now, if it shows you off as a couple of errors like this when you play it, what you want to do is just click on go live. Click on go live, and you can see the server port is available. And there you can see hello world, welcome to my site. And the other one that we did over here was over here. Okay, hello everyone, welcome to my site. So you can see how easy it is when you work with IDE. So let's just close all of these off and go off to Visual Studio Code again. Now, another thing that you can try doing is using Visual Studio Code with the live server, which we already did. You can also use online code editors like CodePen, JS Fiddle, or Replit. Okay, those are also, a couple of, code editors which are found online. If you want to use those, it's also fine. I'm going to show you a couple of sites such as CodePen. Hit on enter, and then you basically have to wait for a bit. And from here, you basically have to sign up, and then you can just put in all of your codes and make it very simple. You can also build and test up a couple of your commands over here. And also in the same way, it can also support up to a lot of languages, which you'll be able to use and also develop your site. Okay. Now, not only that, you also have other sites such as JS Fiddle. So I can also open up JS Fiddle. There we go. This is the site Code Playground. And also we have Replit. There we go. Builds apps and sites with AI. Well, this is also a powerful, AI site, which also gives you out the site with also, coding. So this is also quite very important and also simple for beginners. But if you want to directly get into coding and web development from scratch, I would obviously not suggest you using the AI most of the time, but it's also quite simple for total novices. Okay, but the rest of the people who have prior experience to it or want to get more into, coding in the long run, then obviously I'm going to suggest you keep it, very manual. So it's going to help you in the long run. So you can also use, local web servers And that is basically for, advanced user. And you can see when we use this port, we have 5500. Okay. Now, which is this posing. Now I'm going to click on don't show again. And what you can do is you can click on HTML. As you can see, auto detect HTML is being used. And when you can see, we can go live, a specific port has been opened up. Now, what you can do is you can also go off into the site after clicking on go live, which is 5500 as port. And you can also use Python to open it up. But I'm not going to be making that like that complex. So we're just going to move on with the class. So the conclusion of this class is that there are specific methods for each type of users, such as for beginners, you'll be able to use Notepad just like I did, or even IDE, or even online editor. For intermediate user, I'm going to suggest you to use VS Code with a specific live server. Then for advanced user, I'm going to suggest you use a local web server, such as using a port. And for non-coders, you can use website builders, just like I've shown you, like Replit. Okay, so that's all for this class, and hope you understood about everything in this class. And if you still have any confusion or any question about any part of this class, feel free to ask me anytime. I'm always there to help you out. One thing that I'm going to do over here is I'm going to delete this file because you're going to be needing the rest of these over here. And I'm going to be, plotting and also keeping all of them. So you'll be able to use all of these files whenever you want to. So without any further ado, let's move on to our next class of full stack web development.